Hey y'all, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Let's talk mystery book recommendations. Alright y'all, if you didn't know, March is March Mystery Madness. I will leave the announcement video down below from Lizzie Faye Loves Books. Her channel is where I first saw the announcement video, but there's a lot of co-hosts for this readathon for the month of March. So check out all the details in her description and her video and all the good things. Their theme this month is going to be Dressed to the Nines. Now, all the books in this video, I don't know where the prompts would fit, but I wanted to just do some general mystery or thriller or suspense book recommendations here for this month, just because of this readathon that's going on, and you could kind of see where the prompts might fill in. I will leave the prompts down below as well, just so you can kind of quickly see that, but for this video, we're just going to talk in general about these books. Before we get started, I have a whole video on cozy mystery book recommendations I will leave down below. It's not too old. I think it's maybe within 6 to 8 months ago, so definitely check that out as well. And without further ado, let's dive into the ones I want to talk about in this video. So first and foremost, let's talk about some of the secular options that I have here and my thoughts. So first, we have Finlay Donavan is Killing It by Elle Cosimano, however you say her name. And this is I think a trilogy, 4-book series now, maybe, who knows how many's in the series at this point. But this book, I read it either 2 years ago, last year, I can't remember, I think it was 2 years ago, and I really want to dive back into the series, but this is a wild ride. It'll make you laugh. It does have some language, if I remember right, and some sexual innuendos mentioned, but overall, I was okay with the content. Definitely more on the side of general mystery and not cozy mystery, just because of some of the level of detail surrounding the murders in this, but overall, the content did not bother me. Now, it's all about Finlay Donavan, who is a single mom of 2, and she is financially struggling. She's trying to write her novel, and so she is overheard talking about her novel. Somebody mistakes her, however you say that. They mistaken identity, honey. They think that she is actually a murder for hire person because she was talking about the way she researches her novel or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. She was talking to somebody in a Panera Bread, honey, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure it was a Panera Bread, and she got things all out of the way. A note's left, somebody wants her to kill somebody, and the rest goes on, and it is wild, and it's fast-paced, it's got a lot of witty jokes and things like that. Soon thrown into a real-life crime, and the rest is history. So, I really enjoyed this. Definitely need to continue on in the series. Next one I want to mention is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. You all know that I read this last year and had a blast reading this. It was so interesting. I think I gave it 4 stars, I want to say, but it's one of these, like, you repeat each day under the identity of someone else. And so you're just like, what? You're trying to figure out the mystery in this. This book is surrounding like a masquerade ball, and the rules are Evelyn Hardcastle will be murdered at 11 p.m. There are 8 days, 8 witnesses that you inhabit, and you have to figure out the killer to escape this whole thing. And that's pretty much all you need to know. It's very character focused. There's a lot of different characters in this, but once you kind of figure out what's going on, I was here, so I ended up really enjoying this, and I think it's one that a lot of y'all would enjoy. It did have some, I can't remember the content warnings exactly. I'll leave my reviews for these down below. They have full content discussions if you need that. It's like a very gothic mystery that I think a lot of y'all would enjoy, so I wanted to mention it. Next one I want to mention is a hidden gem that I've not talked about in a while, and that is The Testament by John Grisham. Look, don't be sleeping on this book, because this literally is a hidden gem. Okay, I heard about it from Oshina many years ago, and I love this so much. It's one of the first books I read whenever I started my YouTube channel, and it's one I still remember to this day. It has some faith content in here that I didn't expect. It's kind of got that whole will testament thing of like, who's gonna get the money, honey? Everybody's fighting about the will and all this stuff, and it's a wild ride, okay? So this is set in Virginia, and this rich, angry old man, his name is Troy. He doesn't leave his kids nothing in the will, honey, and he is like, I don't care about y'all. He ends up dead because they knew he was going to die. He was sick, and I'm pretty sure. And there's a legal battle that goes on for a long time, but he names his sole heir of his $11 billion fortune to this mysterious woman named Rachel Lane in the jungles of Brazil. And then there's this guy, Nate O'Reilly, who's a lawyer, and he's like fresh out of rehab, just trying to live his life. And he is a disgraced corporate attorney, basically, handpicked for this, from what it says. And so he has to find Rachel Lane at all costs. He's down there in the wilderness of the jungles in Brazil, and the whole story goes on from there. It is a really great story. I think there was some language in this, if I remember right, but overall, I can't remember all the details. I will leave my review down below. I'll leave all the reviews down below, but overall, I really enjoyed this. It sticks with me. The faith in this is a surprise in the end, and it's not a Christian book, but for a secular book like this, I was really surprised by what faith was portrayed in this, and I really enjoyed it, so yeah. Next, let's talk about The Good Sister by Sally Hepworth. Let me just say, if you haven't seen my vlog, it will be linked as well. Had a great time reading this last year. It was one of my favorite books of the year last year. I think I forgot to even put it in my top 20. Did I put it in my top 20? I may have. I don't remember. But it was a favorite, okay? Read this with my girls, okay? Buddy read this with my friends. This is also an Oshina recommendation, girl. We always get in the breaks from you, okay? But this was a hidden gem as well. It had all the things that you want in a good psychological thriller. It's more family-driven. There's no, like, infidelity or anything like that in this, so I really like that. And I think there was some language and some content that's, you know, again, review below. I cannot remember the details, but there was just a great story here of these two sisters, and one of them is autistic. It's definitely different, and I really appreciate that representation. Of course, as an autism mama, I was like, yes, I'm here. We love Fern. She is amazing. She works at the local library, and she has dinner with her twin sister, Rose, 3 times a week, and she really avoids, like, just some sensory processing disorder issues as well that you can see, because she avoids big crowds, big lights, loud noises, all of those things. And Fern has this very structured life, okay? And Rose discovers that she can't get pregnant, right? Fern sees this as her opportunity to help her sister, to pay back her sister for everything that she's done for her and taken care of her whole life. She's gonna try. Fern sets out to try to have a baby for Rose, and the story goes on from there. She has to find this boyfriend of hers, so she gets this boyfriend, and there's all this crazy stuff going on. We have journal entries from when the girls were little, all the way up to, like, what's going on. It's, like, in and out of, like, the real life things that are real-time things that are happening, and what happened in their past with their parents and stuff. But where you think this is going, it ain't where you think it's going. The twist in the end is wonderful, and I absolutely love this book. Highly recommend. I gave it 5 stars, I'm pretty sure. Loved it. The last, what I'll call secular, this is really more of a classic, I guess, Agatha Christie. But the last secular book we want to talk about here is The Murder The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, okay? This is my favorite Agatha Christie book I've read so far. Which I've only read like 4 or 5, who knows, maybe 3. I don't even know at this point. I need to read more. But it's the only one that I own, and because most of the other ones I listen to audiobooks or I've gotten rid of them. But this one was just wow. It blew me away. I didn't see what was going to happen, the twist and everything. I'm just going to read the synopsis just for clarity, okay? Because I don't want to spoil anything. But Roger Ackroyd knows too much. He knew that the woman he had loved had poisoned her brutal first husband. He suspected also that someone had been blackmailing her. Then tragically came the news that she took her own life with a drug overdose. But the Evening Post brought Roger one last fatal scrap of information. Unfortunately, before he could finish reading the letter, he was stabbed to death. Okay, what happened? I can't say nothing, but you just gotta read it. It definitely is not one that's gonna, like, bog you down with a ton of characters, because sometimes that happens to me, and I've had to DNF sometimes. But honestly, this one is just, like, top tier. I can't say enough. You gotta read it. Let's talk about the Christian suspense, mystery, all those things. Let's go. First, I want to talk about, of course, If I Run by Terry Blackstock. I don't own the whole trilogy, but I have read the whole trilogy. This is what really, I don't even know what you say. This is what sparked my love for this type of genre. Okay, there we go. I can't even say words. Mystery, suspense, thriller, all that stuff last year, or 2 years ago now. I keep saying last year. It was 2 years ago. One of the first ones I read whenever I started my channel. I binge read the whole series. Most of us do whenever we read this. Terry Blackstock, she just knows how to write a good book. I need to read more of her books at this point. But I absolutely love the whole series. This is all surrounding a girl who, Casey Cox, and her DNA is left at the crime scene of her friend's murder. She's on the run. This guy's after her. The police, she doesn't trust them because of what happened with her dad. And like I said, she's on the run, and the rest goes on from here. But the guy, what's his name? Dylan Roberts, he's trying to, like, figure everything out, and he starts to piece together stuff throughout the series. And where you think it's going, you don't know. So it's so good. Faith in this is wonderful because we really see her come to believe, and I love that in this series. So yeah, I highly recommend this if you've not read it. Most of y'all have, but if you haven't, this is my reminder. Pick this up. Next, we want to talk about Jaime Jo Wright. You can't have a mystery video without talking about Jaime Jo Wright, okay? So these are the 3 I've read by her so far: The Vanishing at Castle Moreau, Echoes Among the Stones, and The Lost Boys of Barlow Theater. I have really loved all of these. I almost unhauled Echoes Among the Stones, y'all, but I'm gonna keep it. I gave it 4.5 stars, but like the more it sat with me, it's probably my least favorite of the 3, but they're still solid breeds. You know, like who am I to say? But I guess because when I read this, I loved it, but then I read these, The Lost Boys and The Vanishing at Castle Moreau, and they blew me away. They were truly like 5-star reads. So it's just one of those things like, is she gonna keep outdoing it every time I read one of her books or what? Like every time I read her backlist, because I own a bunch of her books, like, am I not gonna live up to these 2? I don't know. But these are not really scary. The ones I've read, these 3 right here, have not scared me in any way. I love the plots. They're usually dual timeline. You know, I can't say enough of how much I've loved these books, and her endings have really great faith elements in them that are just, that sometimes they're just so subtle, but just beautiful enough to like just truly touch your soul. In Echoes Among the Stones, we have this girl Aggie, and I'm holding all 3 of these. Why am I holding all 3 of these? We have this girl Aggie though, and she travels to Wisconsin visiting her grandmother Mumsy, and she's dealing with the loss of her mother and still kind of learning how to grieve that loss. And Aggie ends up seeing her grandmother be very obsessed over this dollhouse. There's like this old crime scene that she's recreating in this dollhouse that she has, and you kind of start to wonder how she is connected to the past timeline. And then because in the past we have this murder that happens in 1946, this Imogen Grayson, and she comes home to find out that her sister's been killed, and the story kind of goes on from there. She's trying to solve the murder and the mystery and everything. It deals with grief in such a way that I think is impactful and powerful, so I think that's why I didn't want to get rid of it, because I may want to read it at some point, who knows. But the level of grief in this is just, it's explored in a beautiful way, I'll say that. Then, of course, we've got The Vanishing in Castle Moreau, and I gave this one 4.5 to 5 stars. I rated it up to 5 on Goodreads, and the ending in this is what really just set it over the edge for me. It was kind of like that 4-star read for a while, but then it like really pushed it up at the end there for me. It had some quotes that made me cry at the end. This is more of a multi-timeline, but primarily dual timeline. You see other points of view kind of thrown in, but it's mostly dual timeline, and it's in the 1800s with some short updates of this perspective of someone called the Girl, who like they kind of originated the castle. And then we have 1870, where an orphaned Daisy Francois, whatever her name is, I'm looking at my notes, she takes a job as the housemaid at the castle. And it's like she meets this gothic authoress at that time who appears to be hiding things about the castle, and so Daisy's trying to piece together everything that she knows and all this stuff. We have present day, this girl named Cleo Clemens, and she's hired by this woman's grandson. She lives at the castle, and he wants Cleo to kind of help his grandmother with her hoarding tendencies throughout the castle, but there's more to the meat-side, of course, to Cleo about this castle. She's trying to figure out the secrets too, and everything kind of comes to a head in the end, and it's just so good. The secret in here, I did not see it coming. Great, really great. And then, of course, we've got The Lost Boys of Barlow Theater, and this one's more of the recent release that I read last year. And of course, in this eerie backdrop of this theater, Barlow Theater, and it's told in dual timeline. We have a present day and then one in the early 1900s. And in 1915, we see Greta Mercy, who is very skeptical of this theater, as her brother died there whenever it was being built, and we see her younger brother go missing. And so she causes quite the uproar in that, as she says she saw a child fall from the balcony, but then like nobody saw this child, like what's going on? So people are kind of thinking she's crazy during this time, but she knows what she saw, and then she's kind of questioning what she saw, but she knows what she saw, right? And then decades later, in the present day, we follow Kit Boyd, whose best friend Madison goes missing during the theater when they're like doing this TV ghost hunting thing. Guy who's over the ghost hunting show, he's a skeptic, but his name's Evan Fisher, and he is there with the crew filming this, and he is just trying to figure out where this girl went, the secrets of the theater. He knows there is a reasonable explanation for it, and I really enjoyed this because this had like a medium who's trying to like, you know, say whatever, and like she combats that really well in this, like saying, look, that ain't real, this ain't real, you know, and I really appreciate that. She explains how that is just an illusion that the devil wants us to see, it's not even real, and I really appreciate that in this story. So yeah, the way this went, I didn't see it coming either. So overall, I've enjoyed all of Jaime Jo's books. I had to take a whole 5 to 10 minutes here to tell you about them, because if you haven't read these are some of my favorites. I do have a lot on her backlist I'm going to read. I don't think I'm gonna pick up her new release that's coming out in April right away, because I have so many of the backlist ones I need to read first, but these are definitely some of my favorites so far. Next, I want to talk about the Freddie and Grace trilogy. Okay, we've got the Mistletoe Countess is book 1 by Pepper Basham. Then we've got the Cairo Curse. And then we've got the Juliet Code. Now, book 1 is not as much of a mystery as it is more romance, but then you get into book 2 and 3, and this is really a wonderful mystery series. You see them in Egypt, Italy, and it's just so interesting to see their journeys throughout this whole series. I love their characters. They have this beautiful marriage of convenience story that blossoms into romance, and the marriage of convenience is done in this is the way I really like marriage of convenience done. It's done well. It's really, you get to see them know each other and love each other. And if you're looking for one that has a little bit of romance in it, like a mystery, there is still, I think, a mystery in Mistletoe Countess, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, murder, there's a murder mystery. It says on that. So yeah, really all of these have some sort of mystery element in them that you could read. I think book 2 and 3, really, you see more of the mystery in them, of course, like I said, but there is romance in this if you're looking for one that has good romance in it. Freddie and Grace are my favorites. I love them so, so much. So I talk a lot about these on my channel. They'll be linked below. Of course, the last author I want to talk about is Nancy Mehl. I've talked a lot about her. She is a new favorite right now, you guys. Like all 5 of the books that I have read by her, we've got Cold Pursuit, which is book 1 in the Ryland and St. Clair series. I'll pull it out here so you can see it. Book 2, which is Cold Threat. Recently talked about Cold Threat, so y'all know I love these so, so much. And I think that one thing about these that stands out is like she always has points of view of the killer, and it's like a little unsettling, but the details are not too bad. But sometimes you don't want to read it past 8 p.m. I will say, but I feel like book 2 in this was okay. You didn't have any of that I can't read this past 8 p.m. stuff. Book 1, I was like, I better hold off. I was a little on the edge there, but she keeps you on the edge of your seat with these books, you know. And I can't wait for book 3. It comes out in July. Definitely gonna be picking that up. We've got the whole Quantico Files series. Okay, book 1 is Nightfall, book 2 is Deadfall, and book 3 is Freefall. And I have really enjoyed all of these. I mean, all 5 of these books have been great. I'm not gonna go into details about like what they are each about, just because reasons, but like she usually writes about like FBI profilers. There is a little bit of a romance that kind of comes in throughout the series sometimes, which I like, but it's not like overpowering. So if you're looking for more of a suspense versus romance, this is a great series. These are not series, but these are great series to pick up by her. I still have Mind Games on my shelf I need to read. I mean, the faith content in these also stand out to me. She always throws in a really great faith thread and interweaves it beautifully. So I highly recommend Nancy Mehl if you've not read her. She is wonderful. And that's all I have for this video. I know there's probably plenty more I could talk about, but hey, these are just some reminders of some of my personal favorites, some secular ones and some Christian ones. So I hope you found a new favorite that you might want to read this month for March Mystery Madness. So definitely check these out. Books will be linked down below with my reviews and everything, and the book links will be in the reviews if they're on my blog, all that good stuff. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye, y'all.